Hi, I'm Crystal. Today I'm making a Halloween house box. I'm starting from a cereal box and I end up with a box that opens and closes and looks like a haunted house. Very easy process. So I started out with this empty cereal box. I'm not really much of a breakfast person. I love coffee, but I don't eat a lot of breakfast foods, but my husband, big cereal fan, so he keeps me well supplied with these boxes. So I'm not going to give measurements. Your box may be a little bit different, but I just took a piece of paper the same size as the front of my box, and I'm marking off about 1/3 of the height with my ruler, and I'm marking the center, again using a ruler, and then I'm just going to draw a line from the side point to the top point to make that triangular shape. Then I can try that against the front of the box to make sure that it is the right shape. Once I've got the shape I like, I am going to mark off 1 inch above that line so that I can draw a little flap. There is not going to be enough cardboard for this box to be self-sealing without another little piece of cereal box from a different box of cereal. So the flap is just there to hold a little bit of glue. Once I'm happy with the shape, I can go ahead and cut off those 2 triangles in the upper corners. So now I've got a pattern that I've made for my particular cereal box, the one that's in front of me. The next step is to open up the box carefully along the glue seam at the bottom of the box and at the side of the box. Just run your finger along there. It should separate quite easily. Now I'm going to use the inside of the box for the side that's going to be decorated of my box. The pattern side of the box has got a little bit of a coating on it, and that is going to show through when I try to decorate. And so I'm going to draw my lines on the pattern side of the box, just tracing my template. But it's going to be so much easier to decorate the plain chipboard interior of the box than it would be to try to cover up this pattern on the front. Once I've marked off my triangle on the front and back of the box, I'm just going to draw a straight line across at those lower points on each side of the box so that I know where to cut my flaps. Now I'm going to remove the gutter or the flap that I've left on my pattern. I'm making my template smaller, and since my template's just copy paper, I don't mind sacrificing it that way. And then I'm going to trace the now slightly smaller triangle shape onto the front of the box. So I'm going to trace it on the front and on the back, and again I'm just going to draw a straight line between the front pattern and the back pattern so that I've got a marker for where I need to fold in my flap. So once all of that is drawn, then I can take my scissors, just ordinary scissors, and cut into this cereal box along the lines that I've drawn for my template. And now I'm going to score to make the folding a little bit easier. I'm using a scoring tool from Dollar Tree, but you could also use a ballpoint pen. I won't even say that you need to retract the ink this time because no one's going to see this side of the box. But this is just going to make folding the box much, much easier when we get to that step next. So once I've scored along all of these lines, I'm going to take it to the edge of my table, which is straight, obviously, and I'm going to push the cardboard down against the edge of the table. Now ultimately, we're going to end up folding these flaps the other direction, but it doesn't matter because once you've broken the fibers in the paper, they will easily go the other direction. Now I did forget to cut the little flaps, but now I'm just cutting those with my scissor and folding down the flaps on the sides of the box as well. So once I've creased all of these against the edge of the table, then I will be ready to reassemble the box into my house shape. And what I learned from fiddling around with this for quite some time is that there's definitely a correct order to do the gluing in. But before I get to that, I'm going to go ahead and cut my roof. So for that I need another little piece of lightweight cardboard. I've got another cereal box, and I'm just going to cut this strip the same width as the cereal box side. So this is going to be the roof. I'm just going to cut it the same width as the side of this box, and I'm just going to leave it whatever length it is and trim it off once I've got it in place. Much easier than trying to measure and do the math. I know this is going to be plenty long enough, so I'll just cut it later. So when we're gluing it together, you definitely want to do the side first and then the bottom second. You want to be careful at this step to make sure that you get everything square, because once you glue it, that's done, and the box is not going to get more square later. So I just dropped some heavy stuff in to make sure that it glued flat. Once everything is sitting pretty well, I'm going to go ahead and attach the roof to the top of the box. Now I used white glue for the first step of the gluing the side and the bottom of the box, but for attaching the roof you really need some high grab glue. So this would be a good place to use some double-sided tape. That would be fine. If you have some paper packing tape, you could just glue it on, tape it on the outside. That would work just fine. I used hot glue because that's what I had readily available. And so I'm just attaching the just using the hot glue to attach the roof. I do actually have a newer hot glue gun, kind of sad, where the switch isn't frozen into place by years of hot glue accumulating. I just haven't taken it out of the package, but I need to do that. So anyway, once I've got the roof hot glued on one side, I decided to leave the other side open so that my box will open and close. Now you don't have to do that. You could just glue both sides, but I want to be able to put something inside my box. So I'm going to use my hot glue to glue a little piece of cord on the inside of that roof flap. And once I've got that in place, I'm going to put a little something on the side of the house to wrap the cord around. So I'm putting a small button, and then I'm going to put a larger piece on top of the small button, and then I will be able to wrap the cord around that assemblage. So what I've got for my top piece is this kind of creepy looking moth or butterfly, but a larger button would do just fine, or if you have a large brad, that would also work. This is just what I had. So now I'm going to paint the whole thing. So I painted the roof black, and I painted the house a red-violet color. So this red-violet color, I didn't buy a sophisticated color of paint. This is literally a 50-50 mix of flag red and grape purple from Apple Barrel acrylic paint. But when you mix them together, you get red-violet. I thought that made a nice backdrop, and then I attached my die cuts. So I cut the windows. I just cut those wonky with scissors, and then I used some die cuts to make a pumpkin out of that was actually 3 apples. Cut out some bats and a black cat and a door and some vents and more bats on the back, and I just thought that made a really cute Halloween house. So I took something that was going to be in the recycle bin and made this cute little box. I think that's kind of a fun project for Halloween. And of course I can just unwind that cord from my little creepy moth on the side, and I can put all kinds of Halloween goodies inside my Halloween house. So in addition to being decorative, it also is a working box. So I hope that some of those tips are valuable to you, and I hope you'll give that project a try. And I thank you for joining me today.